There's a thermostat right there.
Hey, can someone help him reach the thermostat?
Yeah. I need a ladder. Can someone help?
I don't know if this is a trend. I think this is more of a real lifestyle thing. So the guys out there looking for just a no-brainer, good geometry, good damping, good performance, OE spring rate, OE everything. This is the avenue they probably should.
I'm going to correct the only thing you said wrong there. Okay. It's this guy. I'm thinking that.
This is for the girls too.
It's for everybody because and I'm really toting that because it rides even. I would say it rides better than it does even from the factory.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Shock Talk. Today we have the normal compadres here, Junior and Shane, and we have a very special guest from product management. We have our buddy Ryan in today to talk about some new products that we got coming out for the CUV market. So we're just going to let him dig in here and see what he's got for us today.
A little bit of eye candy for the podcast.
There you go.
So, hey, handsome.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really
you're
appreciate
welcome.
Thank you for having me on. I've been looking forward to this, and I've been listening to the podcast. And so, what I learned from that was, how important it is to be a team member and look like everybody else. And so, like, I was told that
you're way handsomer than all of us.
Stop
playing games.
No. Wait a minute, he's gonna bang on me because I'm not wearing the TerraSport shirt. I'm certain of it.
I was told if I shaved my head, I'd get on the podcast.
Oh, there we go. I mean,
look at that.
That's pretty damn clean there, buddy.
That looks good.
Now you just need a pair of glasses.
I can't believe you did that.
I don't think there's one BILSTEIN employee. I don't think there's one BILSTEIN employee that's went through as many hairdos as you have in one calendar year.
Dedicated, man.
And then there's this guy over here with his hat on.
Yeah, his hat on backwards.
Just relax, guys. Like my male pattern baldness is showing.
Yeah, your male pattern baldness, right? I mean, jeez. Come on.
Well, you're full cul-de-sac, man.
Wait, mine's completely gone.
No, you're full cul-de-sac.
I've got some people living up here.
But I'll tell you what.
Apartment complex.
Your hairline has started walking back a little since you started working here.
It is. BILSTEIN kind of does that to you.
Yeah, you got that. You got that full west side at the top from an aerial.
It totally is.
I'll tell you, anyone that works here that hasn't lost their hair, they're not stressed.
They're not working. They're not working. They're not working.
They don't work here.
Yeah. If you have a full head of hair and you work at BILSTEIN, you're not working.
This is serious. This is dedication. This guy, he joins the crew, the podcast crew, with the proper haircut. I mean, this is amazing.
I remember when he walked in the first day. What was it, like 16 or 17? When did you start here? When did you start here?
Yeah, I'm only 25.
Dude, relax. He was like walking through the hall at the old building. Like
and you were whistling, right?
And I was like, ooh. He was walking through the hall like he was on a catwalk. I'm like, dude, wrong company, bro.
Wrong company.
What are you trying to use, Mr. Model here?
Well, now that we have to recover.
Let's talk about TerraSport.
Yeah, we got to recover from this.
We're going down a slippery slope.
Sorry, I wanted to feel like part of the team.
Yeah, well, you definitely surprised the crap out of me, and I think
I like it.
I
like it. So. I think it suits you well. Looks like
I can pull off the gray beard. This is the Flanders to get rid of the hair.
This is like the Flanders parole look.
Yes.
I like
fresh
it.
out.
Fresh out.
Fresh out.
Let's fresh out and talk about some TerraSport.
Yeah.
Let's talk about.
So let's get into it. What do you got for us today?
Let's see. Where's the camera? There it is. There's people.
There's cameras everywhere.
B8 TerraSport.
Just hold it up.
Our latest foray into
Let me see that.
the CUV market.
Perfect way to start. Let's talk.
So what's a CUV?
What's a CUV?
Good point. CUV, at least what we have classified here at BILSTEIN, is anything that has a front a McPherson strut on it, or it could have four-corner strut. So
that's an SUV. It looks like an SUV.
It looks like an SUV.
And can be used like an SUV.
Yes.
Right.
But it's like a car-based, proper ground clearance type vehicle. Exactly. Explain. So a McPherson strut for the viewers is something that does not have an upper control on.
Yeah, here's one right here. So that means that the lower part of the damper bolts directly onto the knuckle, right? So we're eliminating
Yes.
The lower control arm, right?
I don't think
Upper control arm. Excuse me.
I don't think we've covered all types of suspension.
But McPherson strut.
But McPherson strut.
And you know what's crazy is how many cab on chassis vehicles that was McPherson strut that weren't with dual wishbone. Pathfinder,
Yeah.
But Pathfinder was probably one of the first CUVs.
right?
Yeah.
But no. I'm talking pre-05.
What else is unique about
No,
the
Pre-05. Pre-05.
Are you talking
did not
hard
have
body?
an upper control arm?
Are you talking hard body
No.
Pathfinder?
No.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Pathfinder 99 to 04 was a McPherson strut.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was one of the first, I guess you would classify as CUVs.
that was still a ladder
No,
chassis, wasn't it?
No. That was a cab on chassis.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
That was what I
Right.
was going to say
Yeah.
next for Ryan is
I'm
what's
right.
another determining characteristic of CUV is it's not a ladder chassis, right? It is, what do they call it? A unibody construction.
Unibody.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
And that's why you
body
couldn't
on frame
McPherson.
Yes.
strut.
That's why you couldn't lift those things because you couldn't get the caster out of them.
Well, what about the Geo Tracker or the Suzuki thing? That also had a frame, right?
Yeah, they did.
And it had a McPherson strut with no spring on it.
Right.
Yes.
torsion bar.
So anyways, we've classified TerraSport as a vehicle that has a McPherson strut in the front and possibly in the back.
Okay. And it's usually a unibody.
Usually, yes.
Right.
Usually, we
Right.
don't,
For the most part.
for the most part.
And there's two ways it could be fastened to the knuckle, either with what I call these door hinges here,
Yep.
or it could
slide
not
in.
have a hinge and it slides down into the
slide
knuckle.
into the knuckle. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And why are we doing a TerraSport?
Because they're badass.
Yeah. Aside from that,
Because there's a hell of a lot of vehicles out there that are driving on dirt roads.
well, do we want to
right?
mention the word trend? Our
Nah,
CUV
you know
is
what?
a
I
trend?
don't know if it's a trend.
I don't know if
think
this
so?
is a trend. I think this is more of a real lifestyle thing because.
So you're claiming
So
this
let's
is
just
more
talk
of a
about
culture
Subaru.
thing.
Subaru.
Yeah.
Subaru's been a lifestyle thing since Subaru
Yeah,
existed.
that's true.
I mean, remember back in the Brat days, right?
Yep.
So this has always been once a Subaru owner, always a Subaru owner. What might be trendy is the way they're modifying them because of all the aftermarket support they're getting now. Before that, there's
Right.
nothing for them,
Right.
you know? And this is kind of our answer to
The current trend.
what Shane loves to
Exactly.
call crappy spacer.
Exactly.
Yes.
So this is our answer to that. And I mean, let's get it right. Not everyone wants to put $5 a gallon into a V8.
Very true.
No,
Very
and
true.
I think that's part of the current trend towards the
Right.
smaller exploration vehicles.
Well, there's a hell of a lot of these vehicles out there.
Yep.
And they end up on, people want to go camping. They want to go, they call it soft roading, right?
right.
They end up on forestry roads, smooth desert graded roads.
But the last two trips to Moab that we've taken, I would say the last three trips to Moab we've taken, there's Subarus out there.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Following the Cayennes and the Touaregs and everything. Those one-off kind of people, you know,
Right.
they got to be different. And they
Right,
have
right.
Porsche Cayenne as an overlander.
Right.
Well,
Well,
the
let's-
Subaru Outbacks and the Crosstreks are like right behind them, just doing some sketchy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Entire-
they do
yeah.
some sketchy stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like the Subaru guys are pretty crazy.
yeah. I mean, especially you and Chelsea. Right? When on our way
You gotta tell them that.
Part of the Subaru crowd. Yeah.
Moab,
The world famous jump.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
We test our
Around the
products
world.
very well, folks.
for some reason we take off this viewpoint,
No, it was a restroom break.
Yeah.
but we didn't even go to the restroom. We
Right.
just circled it and bailed.
Right. I
No,
think
we
we were
went to
looking
the restroom.
No, we didn't.
Looking for
I went.
a photo op.
I
think it was
went.
a photo op.
Okay, maybe we did go.
Because remember, we were standing there and Chelsea's car was there and a guy with a Crosstrek pulls up and he comes walking up and sees our shirts and he's like, "Who's Bilstein?"
You're right.
Or Bilstein, remember?
Yeah.
He didn't even know who
I
we
might
were.
have went to the restroom. You're right.
And then
so
after
anyway,
that-
so we're leaving the bathroom break, and I'm in the Bronco with Mike.
Yep.
Was I driving or were
You were driving.
Yeah, I was driving.
My eyeballs were perking out of my head
And,
after.
and we were following Chelsea and Shane. And this guy can't stop telling me that there's 300 deers on the side of the road. He's like, don't go. There's, and I'm looking
There
straight
was.
ahead of me.
There was.
I'm looking straight ahead of me. And Chelsea was driving, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there was this like like a little G out that turned into a railroad track.
Oh,
She launched it.
just get
Launched
right?
it. Thank God, because I would have launched the Bronco had she had not done it, because it was so deceiving, right? The road was so deceiving. She hit this little G out, and the whole, like, all I saw was the bottom of the car, like the new skid plates and everything. I'm like, oh, those are about to get used. And he said it landed beautifully. He didn't even know he left the ground.
Yeah.
I was like, did we leave the ground? I couldn't tell.
Now, we're not telling you guys to go out there and leave the ground in your Subaru, but it was great. It was great. I wish we were recording it, because that would have been like better than any footage we got in Moab.
Yeah.
Of that cross track.
The $2 iPhone footage would have been way better than
The looks on everybody's faces when they go, did we just get air?
Yeah.
I don't even know if you saw it. You were too busy looking at Bambi.
Yeah, I was watching out for Bambi. You know how I am with nature. You know, it's like you got to make sure they survive. They survive.
So aside from being able to
Launch the car.
launch the car,
Yeah.
which we don't recommend, it the TerraSport, it does something I guess it's unique. Well, it's totally unique, but
Totally unique.
The thing
It is totally unique.
Without getting into the tech stuff, what we're doing is we're lifting the car a little bit, so you get a little bit more ground clearance, and then it allows you to put on a P-metric all-terrain tire
No, they're making them in LTs now.
or
in that
LT.
size, yeah.
What are you going to do? A P-metric or
I don't know
LT?
if I don't know if I would do a heavy LT tire on these drivetrains.
Right.
I would probably stick with a P-metric.
P-metric.
You could one up or two up
Tire size.
the tire size and go to a P-metric. So what you're going to do, you're going to have maybe about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of lift with this shock, and then you get a little bit more ground clearance with the tire.
Pass me that strut.
I think it's important to mention that the whole idea behind this is that it's going to bolt right onto the vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
you're going to get the lift with just the shock. You're not going to need a new spring. You're not going to need a new top hat. It's going to be like any other shock replacement
R&R
service,
part.
R&R part. You know, any of your local shops are going to be able to put it on.
Outside of if it's going to need a subframe spacer.
Which
Even then, we
Right.
we brought those to show as well. If the in order to keep the geometry true, if it needs it, we're including it in each shock box.
Right.
So
And
you're
that
gonna
would
buy
be the only
fuller
difference
individual-
outside of the only additional labor outside of
doing an R&R,
doing
R&R,
R&R.
service.
And I'd like to point out the best thing.
This unique feature right here. Is that what you're going for?
No. I mean, because I love the way you said that you can keep your stock top hat, your stock. But you know what? Another thing you can keep that's key to the Subaru market is you can keep your stock wheels and run a larger tire now, because our seat is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So your larger tire
tucks
with
in.
the high offset isn't going to grenade into your spring hat.
Right.
yeah.
Right. So
you don't-
now
no
there's
crazy
really,
offset needed.
you don't have to run a crazy offset. You can run the stock wheel and still run your larger tire, because the seat isn't going to be in the way of it any longer.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
it's one of
that?
those things we really haven't been touting that specific trait, because so many people want to go with the
aftermarket wheels.
KNC,
and that's
all,
fine,
all
and
these
that's
other.
fine, but this
wheel
gives them that
companies,
option.
Absolutely. It's
And-
one of
and
those-
I
I'm
love
a
it.
huge fan of it. You know, the crazy offset wheels and what that does to wheel bearings eventually, and the rest of that. You know, that's a whole discussion and
Right.
argument in itself. But you know, just being able to bolt it on, run it be aligned. You know, it's
Yeah, that's what I was going to point out there, that you have a key feature right here that will allow the vehicle to be aligned properly in the way we built the mount on this particular model, right? But we're giving them that ability on every part we make for the car, not necessarily.
But that
using the
follows
same-
kind of the OE though. So the
the
OE
same technology.
is slotted as well.
But if it needs to be slotted, and you know, we're correcting the geometry
Right.
on the bracket and everything itself. So
Right.
it's meant, you know, it's going to be a fixed lift, you know, so don't, it's not a coilover obviously system or anything like that. So, you know, it's going to be designed to be lifted at that right height.
So the guys out there looking for just a no-brainer, good geometry, good damping, good performance, OE spring rate, OE everything. This is the avenue they probably should.
I'm going to correct the only thing you said wrong there.
Okay.
It's this guy. I'm thinking that
This is for the girls too.
It's for everybody because and I'm really toting that because it rides even, I would say it rides better than it does even from the factory.
100%.
And specifically
Yeah.
a heck of a lot better than when you've bolted on the spacers and you got spacers bolted to unibody, bolted to top hat, and all these things compounded on each other. When you're driving it like that, you know, at first, I mean, I think, you know, if you're using, say, and people have our B6s, that you're like, okay, like you feel that, you know, we've the The valving on the shock is different. It's different, unique. But that was something that we valved to be on road, not exactly off road. And so this is valved for off road. You've removed that extra connection. And so it's somewhat more, it's planted on and off road.
Yeah.
So
And I'm here to say that that's a fact, because I had the opportunity to drive Chelsea's cross track, probably 500 miles of the trip to Moab, and it was beautiful. It drove really nice. So I think what we're getting at is for those that are comparing the market, really do a comparison with a spacer versus a whole strut replacement, because this is where the geometry comes in, right? Yes. So when you put shove a spacer in your top hat assembly just to push all your stuff down, that's great. You're getting lift, but what you're not getting is people think that, oh, it's just a spacer, it's not going to do nothing. You're right, it's not doing nothing. You're not, the change in geometry requires a change in damping, right? Because when you change the geometry, you're putting it at a different angle.
Yep.
And if you're not changing the damping forces
to match
essentially the ride height increase, there's no, just like between our 5100 and our 4600 goes that far back. So you need a damping change. Yeah. This isn't dampened the same as a B6.
Not at all.
No.
So we do increase the rebound control on this for the geometry change. We do all that research so that when you do get the lift out of it, not only are we giving you the stuff to generate proper geometry, but you're getting the damping forces that are
combined with that ride height.
For that geometry change.
So, I mean, it's one of those things is what I love about working at Bilstein is that, we sometimes, sometimes it's to our detriment, but the amount of engineering that goes into everything is great. So, I mean, the guys, they put a lot into engineering this. The nice part about being here is watching them do it, watching the suspension come on and off the vehicle every time we want to change it just a couple millimeters, and then get it realigned, and then check the ride heights and drive it around again. Like, they've spent so much time dialing this in that I know this consumer base is going to have a lot of fun with it, and it's going to enable them to do, like, the die-hard, people who are really getting to it are going to be able to do a lot, expand on it. But I would just, it's one of those things is like, if you ever make a meal for somebody, you're like, hey, just, before you put hot sauce on it, just taste it.
I tell my wife that all the time.
I'm not a good cook, but so I'm like, before you add more salt and pepper, like, correct my recipe. And then this, I always encourage people, like, try it before you're going to add your own springs to it, or you're going to try to get 4 inches out of it, or you're going to do this. Just go back to, you remember how this is how the car was supposed to ride and how much fun it was. Like, no geometry issues, just a great all around ride. And that's what the engineers have really been able to provide.
Well, tell us about this paint color and the story behind that, and the decals and all that. I mean,
before we go into that, I wanted to mention what to reiterate what you said about our engineers, and basically they're overthinking and maximizing performance is great. And when Mark Maleka was with us on the podcast, I said, hey,
how come he didn't have to shave his head? I was told that, hey, if you really want to,
he flat out rejected. I'm pretty certain
he wasn't going to come.
Yeah,
he's too young.
He wasn't going to come. But anyway, so like we discussed about the Bronco 8112s and how we've put them on and off a Bronco hundreds of times because we want to maximize that droop. We're not going to just put it up there and settle for that, because if we see that the pinion angle can handle it a little more, we always get right to that threshold to where we're maximizing performance. Yep. Bilstein's always been that way, right? We're not first to market, but when it gets there, it's going to be
good. Yeah, it's solid. And the guys have really done a great job with it, so
I agree.
Hey, before we move off the spacer kit, since you brought it up, let's just go for it. Let's just finish that part off, right?
Yeah, the spacer kits. Yeah.
You shouldn't. I would say you can't. You can't just get a spacer and stick it on top of a strut.
Well, you can, and
you can physically do it, but you really should not.
Yeah,
I think that spacer kits have their place in the market. Like I said,
I don't think so, because we did development on Chelsea's car.
Yeah,
and to get her down the road, we put a spacer kit on it.
Yeah.
And right before we had to go to Moab, we did skid plates, some S-Sphere skid plates. We did a roof rack,
and fixed all the parts that the spacers broke.
The spacer broke a bunch of crap. That we had to fix.
Exactly. So I mean,
and
I
how-
had people
and
tell me
Chelsea,
it drove like it was dangerous, like out of control.
Chelsea, how long did you have that spacer kit on for? Like 6 months. So we had to do new axles.
yeah,
all this stuff.
It damaged the vehicle.
It damaged the car.
Right.
So I mean, it's really important with this. This TerraSport will not damage your car.
Right.
Another thing is the OEM spring. Why do we use that? Why don't we have a different spring? Because all these cars and all these different models have all these different
Spring rates. Yeah.
and it's just easier and better for the
It
car.
uses the money they spent on engineering to keep it the same. OEM plus, right?
OEM plus. You're not changing the spring rate. You don't need to.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
And while we're on that topic of springs, we're not telling you what to do as a consumer. But if you,
we tend to, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but if you decide,
Junior will.
yeah,
if you decide,
I'm okay with that.
If you decide you want a 1-inch eyebox spring on top of this, that's your issue.
It's on you.
That is on you. If you're trying to maximize ride height, then you want the 1-inch eyebox spring, or you want the Iron Man spring and to work in conjunction. This does not work in conjunction with aftermarket lift coils.
Right.
It's not
Just like
an
5100,
It's not
I mean,
an adjustable seat.
right.
You can't
Yeah, it's
lower the perch
Just
to
one
get an
snap
aftermarket
ring
spring.
groove. Yep.
It's these are preset,
Yep.
and running a longer, heavier rate spring is not an option for these. Correct?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
Not
Like it's
recommended.
not, you're not going to be in that sweet spot. You're instantly going to take it out of that sweet spot. I mean, but I know that let's just be honest, right? People start with good product and then they do what they want to do with it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and so someone, instantly is going to say that the 1.5 lift isn't at the absolute max. And if they, this is say someone wants to bolt on that Warren winch conversion,
Yeah.
so you're
Sag
gonna
it
get
back
And they
down.
say
you're
all they're
bring
going to
back
do.
down, but
yeah.
then I want it back up, and there's going to be people who do it, and they're probably going to find a happy medium, but realistically, what we've seen or what we believe is that a bulk of this market, we want them to be able to bolt this on. Not think about it for another 60 to 80,000 miles. Want them to go camping, go off road, go dirt bikes, a mountain bike, skiing, anything that they're going to do. We want them to be able to take it that extra level, go a little bit further than and more comfortably, and sacrifice nothing. So that was the whole idea behind it. And I know we were talking about spacers, but that whole idea is actually, I got to say, it's always been Shane's idea. As most great products that we've had over the last 20 years have come from Shane. This is Shane's, and I've just been carrying that torch. Because I look after all the car stuff, and this is one of those fun lines because normally I'm looking at how much we're lowering something, and in this case I'm saying how much we're raising it. So.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to why you just didn't paint it yellow. Call it a B6.
Shane, why don't you talk about silver?
Why didn't we paint it yellow and call it a B6? Why did we go with a completely new paint color and its own decal and all that kind of stuff?
Because it's rad.
I'll
Because it
jump
looks
in here and
good.
there, but
I think we were
Because
we
it
were
looks
more,
cool. That's
We were
why.
more trying to give the car culture people in this market their own unique product. I think was
exactly.
more what we were aiming for. I mean, we made dog bowls for you, for God's sake. I mean, this whole product is designed to follow the culture of this group of people.
Exactly. That's what the logo's about. That the silver paint. It's a new product.
And
for
let's
us.
face it, I mean, you're going to be able to see that spring hat in the front fender well, and who wants to see a bright yellow spring hat in there?
It's kind of ugly.
Yeah.
Same thing with the 5100s.
I do think that the silver color is nice, and I really, really like the decal. I mean, I know how much work it takes to get something like this done at this company, and to go through all the difficulty it takes to basically have a new paint color made and a new decal and all this kind of stuff. I mean, Ryan can probably speak more to it, but I'm certain it was a battle from day one.
It was. We have a tendency here to paint things yellow. I know the BILSTEIN, we have a great, we have a lot of history and a lot of tradition.
With the brand yellow.
With
Yep.
the brand yellow and that iconic look. But this is something that we're doing something completely new now.
Sets us
right?
apart a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a completely unique product. There's nothing else.
There's nothing
Right.
like it on the market.
So we didn't take a 5100 and recycle it. We didn't take a B6 and recycle it. It's completely different from both of those products.
And the better part about it is look at that strut. For one, like any of our off-road competitors can't even make struts.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Like no one else in that community can do it.
When we look at something like this is like you got your OE sway bar bracket in the OE location. You have your OE ABS bracket.
This is moved.
That's moved. The ABS bracket would be in the correct location.
Yeah.
So that's moved to compensate for the lift, right?
Correct.
Yeah. We'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
But all the OE quality components are welded to that shock body.
Yep.
Yes.
Just like you would have on an OE part.
Yep. But it lifts the vehicle by itself. So
This is like insane in the Shane brain. This is like back in 04 when you used my Tundra to make the 5100. And people were still today I answer questions like they're surprised. Like, how does this lift the vehicle?
I think that's good.
They don't understand preload,
Even to this day, that we still have people call up and say like, "Hey, what do I use?" Like they don't understand the grooves in the perch and everything else. So we really like every time I'm at a show and I'm talking about this, they're like, "Okay, what springs do I pair with it? Your stock ones." They're like, "How do I get the lift?" The shock
it's built in,
and then it's just like.
This reminds me of...
It's just nothing. Like, I don't understand that. Like, we lifted, then we talk about how we lifted the perch. I'm like, okay. They're like, all right, but if you lifted the perch, you're preloading it. Well, not on the front. We also, because we made the body longer.
Right.
So, and then we get into these.
So you can reduce the amount of preload. So you made the body longer.
Right.
Like, that's genius.
Like, what a lot of people don't realize, it's like, there's a lot of engineering that goes into making a strut to begin with. I mean, you have no A-arm, so now it's a piece of structure.
It's a
load-bearing structure, and then it's also doing damping. So he's doing double duty. So there's a lot that goes into it. So, I mean, not that we want to go into days about the levels of the engineering, but the guys have done a great job. And it's not like it's...
Let's get into that. You know what this reminds me of? And we've talked about hanger kits. Remember, there was the super lift hanger kit,
right?
And then RCD came along and did a new knuckle,
right?
And corrected geometry with the knuckle,
right?
This part corrects geometry.
You want to know what's bringing up to me right now?
What?
The Grand Cherokee in 05 when they went to IFS. And all super lift and everyone was making lift kits and you couldn't level the front of them. It didn't come with a strut. You had to use your OE strut and it came with a longer rear shock. This is the kind of technology
that could have helped.
Yeah, that could have
helped. We could have put a full length strut in their kit and not had to use a factory strut with this monstrosity of a
top mount.
Monstrosity of a stamped steel spacer.
Yeah.
So let's go over the details on this. So this corrects your geometry, which is fantastic. It lifts your car and corrects geometry. So when you lift the car, the camber gets all messed up. So like if you just like the spacer actually does a little bit of this, but if you just took a regular shock and put a spring on it, you wouldn't be able to realign it.
Right.
So these bolt holes right here are actually adjusted for the caster to get your caster back in alignment.
And they're not exactly longer, right? So the guys, I've seen the drawings. There's a whole different angle at which you go about. So the bolt hole's the same, but there's slightly
more adjustment.
Yeah, slightly more adjustment and just angled a little bit more. So it depends on each application.
Explain a little bit. So that hole is oblonged, so that you can get.
It's oblong, but it's also moved.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And it's actually angled upward a little bit, is what it looks like. So. Completely.
So you can push that lower ball joint a little forward to get your caster angles.
Get the caster back.
Yeah, when we were designing this, Brandon's like, we can't align this. We can only do 1 inch. I'm like, we need 1.5 inches or 2 inch. He's like, but the caster's all screwed up. And then what are those
cam bolts,
eccentric.
The cam bolts that are smaller. He's like, I don't like those cam bolts. And I'm like, I looked at him like, just change the holes. we're
making the bracket.
We're making the bracket.
Yeah.
So these are actually moved to correct your.
So essentially, you're saying they're custom door hinges.
They're custom door.
Custom.
I like it.
Listen,
I like it.
This door closes like this.
Yeah.
This door will allow you to swing it forward.
Yeah, exactly.
So then the other thing is the sway bar link. So this is actually moved to correct your sway bar geometry angle.
Yeah.
So like in a spacer kit, they'll usually.
Do we need a sway bar spacer?
No, this is moved.
Right.
So you can run the stock sway bar link and everything.
Okay,
And the geometry of the sway bar remains stock.
Stays the same. So you're not increasing the rate on the sway bar. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what. So like in a spacer kit, they'll have some goofy bracket to move this. That we re-welded this in the right location.
Nice.
So this. So the.
So basically, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And then the other no-brainer.
I mean, there's a tons of brain. That's the problem. There's a ton of brain in it.
The other
When you
no-brainer-
bolt it in, you'll never have to think about it again.
The other no-brainer is what you said before is more tire clearance.
Yeah.
So to get the lift on the front, I believe we just lengthened the body, right?
Yeah.
So that gives you more clearance here for the larger tire.
Just
Which I
lengthen
love.
the body, is one of those things. But yes, it's lengthened at a certain point and everything. There's still a lot that goes into it, but the body is longer, and therefore the body's longer through this connection through this distance itself.
That area. Yeah.
So from where it fastens to the knuckle to where the spring
the
attaches.
body. So
Right.
then we're not preloading up here, and then correcting all the geometry on through there.
So folks,
I see that.
if you just take a stock strut and you do a spacer and you want to put on a larger tire, you're limited because the OEM spring seat goes over the top of the tire and there's a limit there.
Right.
Wow, you guys even added like a little water runoff channels.
Yeah,
here, so it doesn't. Pull
This
up.
is
That's OEM.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It has a
Drainage.
Yep.
I don't have.
We- we've,
I don't
uh,
have great modeling hands, but
Yeah.
just have a look.
No, but the TerraSport will give you more clearance for that 1-up or 2-up tire size
Nice.
that you need.
Using stock wheels if you want to.
Yes.
I mean, that's a great option, right? Like that's great. That gives these consumers control, right? Now I can do something to this car, and not only can I do something that betters the geometry, betters the damping forces, that's actually good, but it's not forcing me to make a purchase of something else.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So eventually, when you purchase that spacer kit, those shocks aren't valved for that, so you're not going to get the ride that you want. You probably didn't buy the shocks immediately and then that day. So, if you've got 25, 30,000 miles, maybe 40,000,
They're worn.
then you decided, I want to do the lift. You've got that much. Then you add on the incorrect geometry, and then probably within 10 to 15,000 miles, those things are toast. And then you bought your spacer kit, and now you're going to go buy a set.
Yeah, it's like
shocks.
it's like putting
Now you're
you've
buying
done it twice.
And a new
So-
drive line because the spacers got stuff lined up wrong. You're going to need new sway bars because you're wearing them out.
And look,
faster
the spacer companies do their best to line up geometry.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys aren't just out to ruin your vehicle.
No, by any means.
But
No,
they don't have.
They don't have access to the technology
Yeah,
we have.
yeah.
And I hate
this
that.
is technology,
I don't want
man.
to nothing against them, but I think that's another great attribute about working with with a company that produces OEM parts for Porsche, for Mercedes, Audi, all these great names, is that we have access to like an unbelievable amount of technology.
Did you say Audi because you drive one?
Yeah.
Well,
I had to get into the German car scene. So once I manage all the tuning products.
Speaking of technology,
I gotta live it, you know.
we don't know what's going on inside these. So I'm guessing this one, by the way it looks, is a monotube.
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
That's
And
the rear shock.
The rear
Here
shock.
are your, some of your other components.
And the
your
front
spring
shock
seat.
looks like it might be a twin tube.
Yep.
It is a twin tube, yeah.
Right. So we've got these tuned to work perfectly well together. And the reason that we made the front shock as a twin tube was kind of like get the valving more correct, or what was the reasoning behind that?
Can't weld on a
can't weld on a
So
monotube.
ease of
and
production then.
Ease of production, and that's what instead of reinventing the wheel, because we could have tried to make it an inverted monotube.
Right.
I'll be back, in podcasts in the future to talk about that. Love that technology, but we're not utilizing it here because I wanted to do two things. Essentially, the whole set is going to cost you, like in your hands, all four shocks with the spacers and everything in order to lift your vehicles, roughly falling about $600 to $650
Right.
for your car.
Jeez.
So
And if you made this an inverted monotube, that would be through the roof.
yes,
Yeah,
there's a lot more tooling
And inverted monotube, in my opinion, inverted monotube works great on a lower ride.
Yeah, that
On
isn't the
an-
right application.
on-
I
When
think
we've got
yeah,
the-
I think
Increase
we've got
the
the
ride
right
height.
application.
Yeah.
Now, the like we've talked many times about how just monotube's just not right for a lot of people. Like
The ride, yeah.
It's a little more
Spirited.
spirited, a little more harsh.
Yeah.
This allows you to keep basically an OE ride.
Revalve it. We made all the corrections,
and
so you
keep
get
you in
that.
a
And
price
you're using,
point. Yeah.
you're going to be using that. The when you remove that upper A arm, when you're making the strut, part of the structure itself. Instead of if the Subaru decided that it was going to need a McPherson strut design, then we're going to stick with that, and we're just going to make the best McPherson strut that we possibly can.
Yeah, and you need that
geometry
compliance
that
when it is a structural member like that. I mean, I think that the twin tube offers that compliance.
Well, I mean, this is a super high quality twin tube as well.
Yeah.
It's not like your.
Well, I mean, look at the size of the piston rod. It's definitely built to handle what we're doing with it.
Abuse.
The size of the piston rod is heavily because it's so load bearing,
right?
Because of the McPherson.
Well, it takes the braking and steering forces as well.
Well, another thing too, I think inverted monotube is great for the street, but I mean, I think it's overall.
It doesn't handle the dirt well.
Yeah. So
this not made.
This is going to be far more compliant than an inverted monotube on an increased ride height type situation.
Plus, more durable, like Shane was saying. Those inverted monotubes, tend to ingest a little bit of dirt through the seal packs.
For off road, this is going to be better.
Yeah.
And so we went with the monotube for the rear. We're a monotube company, and so when we have the ability, it is our bread and butter, and we know that the technology is sound, specifically in this design, and that in the rear, it is what we're doing is we're moving the spring seat up, and we're not changing the length of the shock.
Okay.
And so we're preloading that spring to get that 1.5 inch lift in the rear. Right. So, and in any case, when we do that, if we need to correct the geometry, that I'm saying that's when we're supplying the rear spacers to drop that cradle in order to keep the drive line, the CVs at that right angle.
And when product management says cradle, he means subframe.
Yeah. I think we need to also explain that in this line of dampers, if we create a twin tube damper, it is still a gas pressurized unit most manufacturers, if they create a twin tube, they're not using. So we call the monotube high pressure gas. We call the twin tube low pressure gas, but it's still gas pressurized. So you're still getting, like we said earlier, something far superior to what was on the car or any other twin tube on the market.
Yeah, I mean, it has deflective disc valving. It has a really high quality base valve. So it's going to control cavitation.
Yeah, and that was the goal behind.
And the rear on these cross tracks have an upper arm.
Yes, they do.
So the steer axle doesn't. This is going to benefit from a monotube in the rear because it's more of
there's more support.
It's dual wishbone in the back. So and the motion ratios are a lot different in the rear. So it benefits from a monotube over a twin tube.
Yep.
So
we're trying to. The whole idea was to give you the absolute most we could for your money.
Right.
And so that's where the monotube comes in on the rear when it's not going to be a part of the superstructure.
Right.
Might as well. We'll make
and
it
a lot
happen
of companies,
on our side.
a lot of companies wouldn't even do that. If I'm just being honest, they would have just done twin tube all around because now you have the option to make a super affordable rear shock,
right?
And to go along with the twin tube
get the kit
front.
under your competitors. Like
I've always felt.
Thank you for pointing that out. That is a point. So in the it's not the most affordable technology, but in that scenario, in that suspension design, it is the best option, and that's what we want this to perform. Just like you, we want have the same legacy that our B8 5100s have had in the marketplace, and this is a product line that we're gonna continue to make. So we're gonna do whatever we can in order to make sure that we put our best foot forward in this category.
What I like about the monotube rear is obviously you're going to put a load back there, so the monotube's
consistent.
Naturally has its own load leveling type.
It just carries it handles the load good, but
gas spring effect.
If you're mobbing like Chelsea.
If you're launching the whoop,
jumping this thing,
it really kind of gives you and like you said, you're at a different motion ratio. It really kind of soaks that up a lot.
I was like a modern day Dukes of Hazzard, man.
Exactly.
I'm trying to tell you.
Duke, I could hear you guys yelling out the window.
I got to tell you, I was like, did we just leave the ground and jump this thing?
I thought you were in there saying, just a good old boy.
I'm like, and then you're like, I saw the muffler.
I finally saw the skid plates on that thing.
The bottom of the car.
And another thing, like you said, load bearing. I mean, in a monotube shock, there's always a little more gas force on a non-reservoir shock, there's always significantly more gas force than like a reservoir shock. So that, like Mike said, the gas spring energy, so that when you do put a load in there, it's going to not only support it a little better, get a little better support, but it's also it's not going to really affect that way that dampens the kinetic spring energy,
right.
Yeah.
No, I mean that the gas spring effect is a positive attribute.
Whereas if you used
a
a twin tube rear,
it would just
there would be no additional gas force for the spring effect,
right?
Yeah.
And it would be like in cavitation the minute you hit a washboard road.
Yeah, what I notice about these things is the front usually soaks stuff up when you're driving off road pretty
smooth,
good.
yeah.
But the back doesn't.
Always, never does.
It like slams. It's just like, so I think the monotube does a really good job at dampening the back. So I think the combo works really well.
So are we offering this in a kit, or does the customer buy them one at a time, two at a time? How are we selling this?
Like our 5100s, for, sake of distribution and everything, we're buying them each individually. So when you go online, you'll have to, put in your year, make, model in our, this is where Cartar BILSTEIN.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a sexy voice.
Yes. We'll be back with more of that later.
cart.bilsteinus.com.
Right.
And then you put in your year, make, model, and then you'll be served up. Sometimes we have the replacement shocks, which are B4s, our B6s, which are for our more street-tuned, spirited driving on the road, and then the B8s, B8 TerraSports. And so you'll find all four of them, left, right, and in this case, the rear shock is the same on.
But there will be distributors out there that will kit them together.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
they're going to make it easier.
The reason I think maybe a big reason why Ryan decided to do these as corner units is for those that are going to eventually put lift springs on these and beat the heck out of their car.
They can replace one at a time. Yeah. Plus,
our customer base tends to get to it.
Yeah, they're rowdy. I mean, these Subaru groups, bro.
Yeah,
RAV4s, these are rowdy individuals.
And we know
they're going places.
The internal battle of trying to put together a kit type product is that's our problem. But I just wanted people to understand that we are offering them as an individual component for lots of good reasons. You buy two fronts, two rears. If something wears out, you don't have to buy a new kit or send in something to get repaired. You can simply replace that corner or axle set as needed and still get down the road. So you're not having to drop the $600 again if you wear out a part, which that happens with kits, right?
Well, so I think with all real performance off-road people know that, you're just because, you might do bushings all around your car and at first, but then if you wear out one, you're just going to do that one. You're not going to redo every single bushing.
And the other beautiful part about it, right, is that the modifications on these vehicles are starting to get a bit up there, right? Like
no bumpers.
Pretty soon, there's going to be someone in Hawaii that has an 8-inch axle under this thing, right? Yeah. So it gives people the opportunity, like if someone custom builds a coilover for the front, because it's not too hard to custom build a adjustable coilover for the front, right?
No.
So now that gives them the option to get some nice monotube rears to go with that adjustable front,
right?
Or
piecemeal,
vice versa. What if someone does modify the rear to a Ford 8-inch or Ford 8.8?
Yep.
They still can get the.
That's a little bit further down the road,
but they can still get that front.
They can still get
the front. That's going to offer them some ride height to match their Subaru Justy with an 8.8 rear.
So the logo. Tell me about the logo.
Hey, there's medication out there that'll get people doing anything.
Exactly. What was the thought process or the concept behind the logo? It's unique. We've never done anything like it in Bilstein. Where did that come from? I don't think I've heard this story, if there is one.
Well, I think the idea is like I've been off-roading for years, but maybe 10 years ago you start seeing these crossovers out, and usually they're parked at a trailhead.
Nice
they're mountain biking.
Yeah.
They're out off-roading, and it's just kind of reminds me of kind of that outdoor lifestyle.
Right.
So it's like this really, a lot of people that have these cars are not car heads. They're not lifting their Jeep or lifting their Tacoma.
Right. They're out recreating.
This is
fun in the outdoors.
This is a means to the end.
I'll tell you another thing. What I think.
Hey, let me finish my thought.
Go ahead.
You got to say that in the mic like this. Let me finish my thought.
This is the means to the end.
I'd like to have the next minute. Thank you.
they don't really like probably care about like the fact they can lift their car and all that. But if you bought this product and you wanted to go on forestry roads or graded roads in the desert or whatever, you're going to have a lot better time. It's going to be safer if you get that thing up a little bit, inch and a half, and you get a better tire. The main thing's a better tire, really.
Right.
Like the tires that come on these cars are useless. And if you want to go drive off road, you're probably going to end up with a couple flats and you're going for a walk, right? But you're not supposed to leave your car. You're supposed to stay with your car, and you're going to wait for the guy. I mean, it's a disaster.
Right.
If you go and
I'm telling you what,
you want to drive,
that's true. That's even true on light truck with stock tires.
Yeah, it is true.
100%.
But if you want to, but like, especially with this group of people, I mean, just know this: you need a good all-terrain tire.
Right. If you're going to do all-terrain things, do an all-terrain tire.
Right.
Yeah. So this allows you to upgrade to that tire, maybe go up 1 or 2 sizes, which is minimal. And, you know, it's just a safer thing for you.
And I'm going to just tell you why I think we did it.
Okay.
Because we are probably the only shock manufacturer globally that has the know-how to do it.
It's true.
Right.
Who else?
Take
take our off-road competition. Who could do this?
Nobody.
I'll wait.
Right.
No.
Cricket. This is Jeopardy. Jeopardy.
We do have one manufacturer that might be able to do it because they do monotube and they do twin tube, which is KYB. But will they? They'll never do this. They're a replacement damper manufacturer, right? So this is the beauty of having BILSTEIN, because we are an enthusiast-based business that has the know-how. This is what you get.
Right.
You don't have to do, I'm just going to call it subprime, not garbage. You don't have to do a subprime spacer kit.
Right.
You can actually, I mean, these kits are $499. I was just looking at them, like they're $499, and when you get into the real lift kits, like a foam cell kit, like an Ironman kit, then you're in the $1,400, $1,600, $1,800 range.
Yep.
And you're doing all this other stuff, brake line extensions and all this, because you're putting a far longer damper with heavier springs in there. So you got to relocate this and do. Guys, you don't.
No. And we don't. I really, the whole idea is that we wanted to cater to this, and we're back to lifestyle. And so this lifestyle is more of their hobby first, whatever that passion is, and they happen to have a vehicle that isn't like a solid front axle and everything else to do it. They're not.
That's what I was gonna say.
So that they're about their snowboarding, they're about their skiing. They're about seeing the national parks. For
them, it's the destination, not the drive.
Exactly.
All their cars and coffees are at REI, man.
Exactly. Yeah. Loved it. Shout out to REI.
Yeah.
We're making a video. So.
But yeah, these folks, they just want a reliable car that gets them to what they want to do, right? They're not like gearheads, like Shane said.
So
they're not like us.
These will look great under a Christmas tree right next to your box of Birkenstocks. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's right
maybe
next,
a snowboard or a bike rack or something
like that. To me, it's right next to that, that high-end camping gear that only weighs it's made out of titanium. The sweater out of the alpaca, fur,
so you're saying
that's really nice stuff. It's right there.
So you're saying you don't need a Ram 3500 Prospector to go have fun?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
No, nobody needs that, right?
You can do it in your used $15,000 sport truck.
If you just want to see the great outdoors and what nature has to offer, this will allow you to
These will look great with your new Birkenstocks and your crossover bag.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm ready to go.
We wanted to have something when me and Shane talked about this that was going to be extremely identifiable by the crowd. They're like, oh, I need these B8 TerraSports. I needed this BILSTEIN something. We needed a look and a feel and a name that was in line with what they were doing.
Right.
And so we need, we've made the shirts and we're
made the dog bowls.
We've made the dog bowls. We're going to shows everywhere. We're having these conversations. We're not only about the science behind it, but, the different things that they're doing. And we're slowly making new vehicles.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you about.
We're fitting into the lifestyle.
So
we're trying to do that.
What's our coverage right now? I mean, how's it looking?
We've got the Jeep Renegade, and that covers the 2015 to 2021. I want to say I'm not going to be great at all these year ranges. Then our what we started out with is when we were first working out this science, we did a RAV4. We knew that we wanted to cover all the different brands. So we've got the 13 through 18 RAV4, and that's a 1-inch lift, very moderate.
Right.
But, that's where this science started years ago, and we started off with those two. And then
Toyota, you can't go wrong working on a Toyota, right?
Can't. We have a good customer base there, and we know they'll love to go off-road and the rest of that. So
I know we're going to get questions on the current generation RAV4. Where are we at with that?
Okay, might as well get that out of settled and done.
We figured we are working on questions that would warrant the haircut, right?
Sure, right. Old
that's
man.
a lifestyle haircut.
Yeah, I know that's a lifestyle haircut. If he's going to do that, we're going to grill him about what vehicles we have it for.
So the RAV4 is in development, and it's slotted for release as of next summer.
The new RAV4.
The new RAV4, 19 through, I want to say it goes through 25.
Yeah.
And so we've tested, I can say that we've tested it on hybrid models, and we've tested it on non-hybrid models. And so
Adventure package, TRD package.
Yep. So we've tested
That's
all these.
2024.
All you current generation RAV4 people, get your monies right.
Yep.
It's
your money's.
And your monies.
Yeah. So
You got plenty of time to
Plenty of time to get your monies right.
How about Subis and Jeeps?
But wait a minute, that's 2024.
2024.
RAV4.
Right.
Summer.
That's what he
Summer
said.
2024.
Yeah.
Summer of 23 is over, man.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Well, I'm just thinking about, in 2026 when this is still.
Oh, yeah. We could fool people and say, it's actually 2026.
Good call. You don't say.
Okay. So, the very first Subaru we brought to market was the first gen Subaru Crosstrek XV. So that was the 13 through 17. We have the second gen 18 through 20. Now, I will say that I get a lot of questions all the time about, okay, what about the 21, 22, 23? They have a different spring seat design, and that kind of, every time we make a large change like that, then we kind of got to go back to the drawing board. So
part number.
The rear is going to fit, and that's going to work, but, we need to bake out all the science again, almost from scratch, the minute you change that spring seat and the way the spring and all that operates. And so we're currently in work on that to get those last few models of that released.
Subaru, leave things alone. Can't you do like 20-year?
A lot of change.
Can you guys do 20-year life change?
Be more like Toyota.
20-year models like Toyota.
Toyota.
He's always. I'm always saying that. I can't even say Toyota anymore.
On an 03 4Runner that you could put on a current 4Runner. Subaru, leave things alone, man.
They're gonna snipe you when you walk out. They're gonna get you.
They're standing outside waiting.
You're gonna get hate mail from the Toyota.
That's at Subaru.com.
No, it's. Yeah, Toyota loves us. Junior's like the mass representation for.
But I've also talked terribly about having such long stretches of a production model.
Right,
it gets long in the tooth and you lose buyers, right?
We always get back to the 4Runner somehow.
That's it.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
But all right. So then we have the 2009 to 2013 Forester. So we knew that. We had
bigger cars,
So we had some spring seats, and we had some of the components. So we went ahead, got that chassis done. We got the Outback 2010 to 2014, and very, very shortly, within the next month or so, we'll be releasing the 2015 to 2018 Outback.
What about Mazda CX-5?
It's slotted. We don't know. I only get
the word is on the list. Yes,
it's on the list.
There's a lot of those things running around.
Yeah, there are. But then we have a whole new generation of Forester to go after. That's currently in work. The current generation Outback, that's in work. Once again, the RAV4 that's slotted for next year. I might as well say it now because I get the questions all the time. The Ascent is scheduled. The Subaru Ascent,
very nice.
Right? So we're going to have a lot of these
model.
Yes.
I know those years the H6 motor was still available. Is it going to work both on the H6 and the Boxster 2.5?
It will. Now the big change.
It will.
So we a lot of fitments and going back and forth to see how it was going to align and how it was going to work, and so it does fit. What we noticed though is that running through all the years and getting all the science worked out of it, it's the 2019 rear damper spring is different, so it doesn't fit into. Hand me that
The spring seat, yeah.
Spring seat. So and it is a rear monotube. So as
You're talking about the Crosstrek right now, right?
yeah, no, we're talking about the Outback.
Okay.
Outback.
Because Crosstrek has that same concern.
Yes. So you know, as we said before, when it's a monotube, you can't weld on the outside.
Right.
So when you tear off your rear shock, you'll see it's all one piece because you know that's going to be a twin tube design. So you get this machined spring seat that goes on. It slides on over, and essentially how it fits into this groove. They changed the spring design because they had 2 different manufacturers on that 1 year. And so from 2018, even though it's the same chassis, to 2019, they went with a different shock manufacturer on the rear. And so we've had to machine a new spacer just to hold onto that spring. And so we won't have that a single year only shock in order to dial that in perfectly will be available for the 2019.
Yeah.
So that's
so to reiterate, the twin tube B4 will work on the model year 2019, and
no. We removed that application as well
no on the Crosstrek. There's a similar concern
on the rear.
So model year 18.
I want to say it was see, this is where I end up in Subaru jungle, as I like to call it.
So let me
because
see
I know
this.
the Forester.
Let me peek this.
The 2009 Forester was changed, and so we have a new Forester,
Crosstrek as well.
but not for the Crosstrek.
No, Crosstrek as well.
All right, we'll see.
So if you look at our catalog
Okay.
and you type in 2018 Crosstrek, you will find everything that's for the 2017 except this. So people are assuming that we just missed this. So the ID of the spring on the 18 model Crosstrek is smaller.
Then that, yeah.
So it does not fit around this area here. A lot of guys don't care, so they just take it to a grinder and just go like this. But a lot of guys, we're not telling you to do this at all. But they take a lot of guys that want the monotube. They'll just, this is a solid piece of build.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they'll just machine some off so that the seat the ID will press onto there. However, this isn't machined like an OE seat that's welded to the twin tube.
Exactly.
So this has a little bit wider ID than what the B4 has. So this shock doesn't work. I believe it's 18 or 19 Crosstrek. It's not going to work if you don't want to do this.
Yeah.
In the grinder.
Run it on the grinder. And that's aluminum, so don't use a grinder.
Yeah, so the Crosstrek had that same issue. So it might be just Subaru across the line.
They do make some very frequent changes. I can say that, and keeping up with it.
And it's it's probably not Subaru's fault. It's who they're sourcing.
Exactly.
They
It
make
could be
changes.
deviations in this ring.
Right.
So there's also another group of vehicles. I don't know what you even call them.
What?
They're a truck with a McPherson strut,
Like the Ridgeline?
That's right.
like the Ridgeline, but
the Ridgeline's not a cab on chassis.
in the room next door, we have a Maverick over there getting outfitted with a set of TerraSports.
The Maverick.
And I heard there's more of these.
Is that even can you even consider that a truck though? I mean,
What do you call these things?
I don't
What do you
know.
call? Is it a TUV, truck utility vehicle?
I don't know.
well,
I don't know what you would call it.
What are we gonna call
BMW calls
these?
them. What is it? What do they call their X5s? It's a not an SUV. It's a AUV or something, an active utility vehicle.
Yeah. So that's what you call a small.
I just call them
Unibody
I just call them
truck-looking thing?
things that Junior don't fit in.
Exactly.
Pretty much a long line of vehicles there.
Well, the Ford Maverick is pretty popular.
It is popular. You see a lot of them around.
And I heard that Toyota's coming out with one.
Well, they're doing that truck on the Corolla chassis.
Yeah.
Corolla based pickup.
You'll probably see some TerraSports for those.
Yep.
So what about any other products? Is Bilstein thinking about any other products for this line of vehicles? Anything that would be an accessory to these dampers? Any special parts that we might do, like a sway bar or anything like that? Nothing. We're just going to keep it stock and just run with it, or just dampers.
Besides our upcoming clothing line, there we
Chelsea.
go. There we go.
Chelsea.
Chelsea
And Garrett.
Yeah.
In the marketing department.
So we're going to design some clothing. to go with
Again,
these.
things that don't fit Junior.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll work on it. What's some of them? You can wear the dog bowl however you want.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
No, that's right.
Necklace.
This is for my Poco Bear.
Yeah.
That would be like Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what time it is.
It's
With a dog ball.
So just clothing. No other car parts then. huh?
Well, we've kicked around the idea of doing maybe some skid plates and some other parts,
cool stuff.
like
yeah.
but no slotted time frames. On
Okay.
those. But that we have
Just thinking, there's a lot of cool
definitely-
stuff we could do. With our horsepower, maybe we could come up with some more cool stuff. But
This market, here's the thing: is we truly believe this market is here to stay, and we're going to do what we can to help it grow, and we want to support it. We want to be a partner in this, and so we're looking at wheel companies, tire companies, other manufacturers of parts that we can team up with in order to showcase vehicles and the parts. So it is something that we're looking.
well, trust me, we're vested in the market because Bilstein doesn't engineer a new paint color just to do it, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, too. Just for people that don't know, I think we've touched on this before, maybe in the last podcast. But Bilstein has a long history with Subaru.
Oh, yeah.
People don't even realize that.
Rally racing, yeah.
Like Spec B. We were OE dampers on all their Spec B stuff, like 05, 06. So if you had a legacy Spec B, it had Bilsteins on it.
Yeah.
Hey, like you said, let's go back to the rally because who was Richard Anderson and the company in England?
ProDrive.
Yeah, ProDrive, yeah.
So way back in the day, we were
winning all the rally races in
we were
Europe.
partners with That's my. I've always been into rally
And
racing.
we also built stuff proprietary for that Subaru outfit. Who is it? The black dampers we built for them for their coilover kits. Is it Race Comp or Comp?
Yeah, Race Comp. Yep.
Yeah, Race Comp.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
At a number of men this old, we came up with that name.
Yeah.
I don't know how you.
Yeah, shout out to Race
wasn't gonna
Comp.
be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got Race Comp dampers.
And they're super popular, but that's more of a street set.
But no, it's just
It
goes
is a
to
long
show
history.
you Bilstein's heritage, man. Like we associate with like top brands. Like we and because we have these OE relationships, because we have these, it just lends a hand to how successful we can be on the aftermarket side of things.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely the OE relationships.
We know what dealing with Subaru on a direct basis is like. So when we can actually take what we've learned and move it into the aftermarket side, there's nothing but success, right? It's a no-brainer.
We love
This
that. Love that
product-
term.
Yeah.
Look, I use it a lot because I'm out of them.
Used up your last brain cell, huh?
So good. Matter of fact, we were at Subi Fest this year in the LA area, and so it was hosted by Subaru, and we had both Chelsea's Crosstrack out there on display, and we had Matt's 99 RS with the STI swap.
That's a hot little number.
Yeah.
It is. He
Talking about
actually has he had the ProDrive struts on there, and they're inverted monotubes, but we swapped it out for a B16 4-corner inverted monotube set for the display there. So we had quite a pairing of vehicles.
And what did you do on your own to prepare Matt's car for the show?
I mean, it's a
On his own time.
20-year-old car. We and he had at one point rally crossed it, and so he had a number of the hood was all chipped up and stuff like that. So we took off the hood, resprayed the hood and the vents.
You did that?
Yeah. Well,
How you did that?
So,
And guess what?
Ryan
Not just a pretty
Ryan
face.
Scheib.
Ryan Scheib?
Ryan Scheib Flanders. There we go.
And here's the best part: is Matt drove the thing to work without the hood a couple days.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, that's old school though. We used to do- hey,
we're full on gargoyles.
back
So
in the day,
you'll have to talk
back
about
in
that.
the day
next
when
time.
you got a motor mod, you took the hood off.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
That was Matt.
what?
You took the hood off. If I had an STI swap in that old Subaru, I'd run with the hood off. Are you kidding me? Let
Well,
people know.
Let me tell you, Matt did.
Well, he had to. It takes a,
Hey, billionaires don't
you can't-
drive with hoods.
A few days for the paint to cure and then rub it out.
Yeah, to buff it out. So we shot all the components on the hood, and then we shot the blended in the rear bumper, had a scratch that someone in a parking lot had got him, and then
Man, you're so talented.
I wouldn't say that. He didn't. It worked. I've been painting motorcycles now for years, and so we just kind of expanded on it. And at least it only needed to be one color.
Tried your hand at a car.
It was great because like all this is going on, and I told my girlfriend, I'm like, we got to go over there and we got to watch this.
Exactly.
Watch the
Well,
chaos.
Shane definitely can't paint, so
Exactly.
what did he just do? Bring burgers?
Go over there and huff up paint fumes so you can all feel good, right?
Can you have this guy sign an autograph on that whiteboard?
Yeah.
Because this is like
Sign an autograph for the
This is
podcast
gnarly.
team here. Yeah.
he's a painter, he's a product manager,
Yeah.
he rides a hog,
Yeah, exactly. What
Got
other
a nice new haircut.
What other hidden? Yeah, exactly.
and he's fresh out.
I really like the haircut. That part is just really cool.
Anyway, my girlfriend's like, wait, what are they doing? I'm like, they're like tearing apart this car and painting it. We should go over there and just laugh at them while we're doing this.
And it came out super good, I bet.
the
No, and
thrash.
she's like, I don't want to go watch people work on cars.
You better be careful. She might watch this.
That's
Yeah.
good. Let's see that.
There we go.
There you
That's gonna
go.
be
Two Junior. You're the best.
Yeah, there you go.
Got a big heart for you. Big heart. Love you.
That's it. It's all yours, buddy. Now you can throw your
man.
microphone on the floor. Yeah.
Very good, man. Like, hey, I've always known you to be a very, and this is another good thing about Bilstein, right? Like, when we can, we put real enthusiasts in positions that make decisions like this.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, when I first met you, I don't know if you still have that old Dodge pickup.
Yeah. Still got the Dodge.
Yeah.
And like any good Dodge, it's
Sitting in the yard.
sitting in the yard right now.
It's broken.
On milk crates.
I'm dodging working.
And I remember, I remember when you bought that Civic hybrid car.
Yeah.
And you bought it for like
$300.
Yeah.
We built a hybrid
$3
battery.
That was
70
part of a
cents.
game. That was part of drive it till it breaks.
And then we talked many times. We had lengthy conversations in front of Stowe Drive about your Acura, your RSX, and like this guy's a real enthusiast. So it doesn't
You're
stop
remember,
at
you got an iron jaw. I mean,
His
saying up there. You're
He's
doing
got the
a lot
memory
better
of
than
an
me.
elephant, dude.
Did
Don't
you just call me
challenge
an
him.
elephant?
The memory of an elephant. Don't challenge him. He
So
does
anyway,
that all the time.
Anywho, so
Look,
it's
he picks
really
up the
nice-
word elephant when it
it's
doesn't
really
matter.
nice to put. It's really nice to have people like you making big decisions because we know where it's coming from. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Thanks.
And
Jim. Appreciate
that's really nice on the Bilstein level that we're still heavily involved with employing people that
Our enthusiasts
want to make changes that are enthusiasts. That even though I smoked you every time I raced you in that Dodge,
Yeah. Like it's
I don't know if it's because my car was faster or I knew I was headed to lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
that new process 435 has that granny gear.
Yeah.
To say so you're starting out in second every time.
Yeah.
Not the fastest thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's built for style, not for speed.
Yeah, that's a definitely style and rig right there.
Have to have your trench coat and combat boots on for that.
Right.
Thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Yeah, we really appreciate
it,
having
guys.
you on the show. And
You said you'll be back to discuss what?
But I'm gonna by that time I'm gonna have a full head of hair again.
no.
you can't go
I'm gonna have to shave my head again.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. This time you're gonna have to use a razor, not the
got the
clippers. Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly.
Boy, I'm gonna get some bandages and some tape. I gotta go that far. But yeah, hopefully I'll be back on Talk Tuning with you guys.
Yeah, exactly. We're looking forward to that. Our calendar is developing, so we'll figure out what date we're gonna.
That'd be a
have
great
Ryan
show,
back.
the tuning show,
Yeah.
because again, another. And I always say this. It's like I'm like it's like gospel to me because it's something that I brag about as an employee here. That Bilstein is like no other damper manufacturer globally. We do something for everything.
Oh,
You know what I mean? It's like, and that's a lot to brag about. So people come up to us at shows, at the off-road shows, and like, you don't make a 4.5-inch shock? No, sir.
Yeah, but we make a strut for a Sprinter.
Yeah, but we make stuff for your Sprinter. We
Yeah.
make stuff for your Class A motorhome. We
Yeah.
make stuff for your wife's BMW. Here's
Stuff
what
for your
we're
motorcycle.
doing.
yeah.
Right? Here's what we're doing.
Yep.
Like we are the best at everything we do. Not do, but we
Do.
do. You know what I mean?
Doo-doo?
He said
We're the
doo-doo.
best at everything we do. We don't get into we don't necessarily have coverage in every segment, but what we do have is going to be the best of the best.
Right.
It will have been engineered and tested to the tolerances and specs that that you can trust and are going to perform. And
Tolerance and specs that irritate the shit out of product management and sales.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Because it's like
The time lag.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Let's move it. And we're at, and these guys are like, no way.
Well, we just want to remind everyone that if you have questions or comments about TerraSport, go ahead and
Mike's
put them.
email is
Yeah. No.
if you have any questions about TerraSport,
But certainly,
contact
questions,
the company.
comments, definitely
You'll get an
load them
email
up down there in the comments bar. And we're going to give Ryan the honors to sign us off today. I think he's earned it by trimming his hair so short.
Well, everybody out there in podcast, thank you for tuning in to Shock Talk. And just want to say thank you for the guys for having me.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you soon on
See ya.
Shock Talk.
peace out.